I was sitting at my usual spot at the cafe, with my laptop open in front of me, enjoying the view of the sea as I brainstormed ideas for a new story. I was deep in thought when suddenly, something interrupted my flow. A small child approached me and handed me a tightly folded piece of paper, so wrapped up that no one could open it easily. Curious, I asked him who gave it to him, but he didn't respond. Instead, he ran off. To be honest, it was a bit unsettling. Why would a child give me something like that, wrapped so strangely? At first, I thought it might be something dangerous, maybe drugs or something that could get me into trouble. I opened it quickly. Inside was just a single piece of paper with something written on it. It was a note, and from the looks of it, someone had written down an experience they had gone through. But how did they know my name? How did they know I was Alex Foster, the one who writes horror stories? How did they know me? They must have been watching me. The first sentence on the note read, "Pay close attention to every word, Alex." At first I thought it was just some random person writing nonsense and handing it to me for attention. But as I kept reading, a strange feeling took over. It felt like something bigger was happening, like there was a phenomenon we all overlooked, a terrifying truth, and that truth was the nightmare. Yes, the nightmare. What is a nightmare? Of course, we all think it's just a bad dream, but it's so much more than that. But who's responsible for this? Surely it's not my mind. It can't be my mind that could create all these people in such a mystery, something no one understands. But this note revealed the truth to me, and now I've decided to share the story with you. But please, pay very close attention to every word you read, because it could change your life from something ordinary to something from hell, and I am not responsible for anything that happens to you. Hello, Alex. My name is Sam. Of course, this is not my real name. It's a fake one because I can't tell you my real name for the sake of my family and those close to me. I'm 19 years old, just a regular guy in my first year of college, studying business at University of California. My life was pretty much the same as any other young man's life at my age, but everything changed completely the night I slept alone at home on a Thursday. My family had gone on a trip, and I refused to join them. I went to sleep around 3 a.m., and that's when I had the strangest dream. I dreamt that I was in the summer house where my family usually stays, but this time I was in my younger brother's room, Adam. He's just 8 years old, but he wasn't alone. There was a tall, dark figure standing next to him, not moving, but so tall that it was taller than the room, towering above the ceiling. I saw the figure and immediately ran to my brother to wake him up. He woke up with me, but when he opened his eyes, he looked terrified, and he couldn't see me. He really couldn't see me. The shadow started to move, slowly creeping towards my brother. The shadow stretched out long arms, and in a flash it grabbed my brother by the neck and lifted him up. In an instant it slammed him back down to the floor with such force that the sound of the impact was deafening. It was so loud that my parents rushed into the room, panic-stricken by the noise. My brother was lying on the floor, covered in blood, and the shadow slithered between the walls of the room, disappearing completely. This all happened right in front of me, and I couldn't do anything. My mother was in shock, staring at my brother's lifeless body in disbelief, while my father was sitting on the floor, crying hysterically. The sight of my brother's body was heartbreaking, but then something even worse happened. In a moment, my brother's head turned 180 degrees. But my parents didn't notice, or rather, they couldn't see what was happening. I was the only one who could. My brother's eyes were wide, and his face was drenched in blood. His gaze was terrifying, and it was enough to make my heart race. In that moment, I woke up, terrified. But when I looked at the clock, it was still 3 a.m. The time hadn't moved. I tried to check my phone, and sure enough, it was still 3 a.m. How could it still be 3? How did I sleep for so long? Something's wrong. Something strange is happening. I called my mom to check on them, but no one answered. I tried again and again, but no one picked up. I was starting to lose hope when finally the phone rang. It was my mom's number. I picked up quickly, and her voice sounded like she had just woken up, asking, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I was relieved to hear her voice, realizing that nothing had happened to them and everything was fine. I was able to calm down and go back to sleep. When I tried to sleep again, it was 3:30 a.m. I was so tired, I fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. I found myself in the same room as my brother, Adam. The same scene, with his lifeless body on the floor and my mom and dad standing around him. But this time, his body was completely still, not moving at all. And then, the same shadow appeared from the wall. At that moment, it lunged at my father. I tried to run and stop it, but my body passed right through it like dust, like it wasn't even there. It didn't pay me any attention. It knew exactly what it was doing. In an instant, it grabbed my dad by the neck, lifted him up, and slammed him to the floor, just like how my brother had been killed. My dad fell next to Adam's body, in the exact same position. My mom was terrified by what had happened. She grabbed the phone in her hand and started calling someone. She was trying to call me. I woke up in a panic, hearing my mom's number on the screen as she was calling me. I was scared to answer. I knew what I was going to hear, but I was terrified to pick up. I answered, and I could hear her screaming on the other end. "Your brother's dead, Sam. Your brother's dead." Hearing those words hit me like a shockwave. This wasn't a dream. This was real. I tried to understand what had happened. She told me she heard a loud bang coming from Adam's room. When she and my dad went in, they found him lying on the floor, covered in blood. But I had heard my dad's voice. My dad was alive. "No, no. Run, Dad. Run. Mom, get out of there. Get out of that place." But she didn't hear me. She was screaming, and I could hear my dad's voice too. Then I heard the same horrifying sound, the loud thud. My mom was screaming, "Help me, Sam! Help me!" And then the line went dead. There was nothing I could do. The only thing left for me was to sleep. Yes, I had to sleep. I had to find a way to save them in my dream. I closed my eyes, and within moments I was back asleep, slipping into the same dream again. I found myself back in the room, but this time my mom was hanging in the air, suspended by the strange shadow that had been standing there before. I reached out to grab her, trying to pull her down, but this time she saw me. She was aware of my presence, and she was shocked, wondering how I had gotten there so quickly. I pulled harder, but it was too late. The creature killed her, and in the most horrifying way imaginable. It tore her apart, piece by piece, every part of her body scattered. This time the shadow began to shift, turning into a human form. It morphed into someone that looked just like me, but the difference was terrifying. Its features were distorted, covered in scars, and its eyes were completely white. Its torn black clothes reflected a grotesque version of myself. That's when I woke up, startled by the ringing of my phone. It was my mom's number. I answered, and her voice sounded perfectly normal, as if nothing was wrong. She was just checking on me. I hung up the call and glanced at the clock. It was still 3 a.m. The time hadn't moved a second, but what was strange was that I could have sworn it had been 3:30 just a moment ago. How had the time gone back? But that wasn't the scariest part. No, the terrifying part was that the creature from my dream was standing right in front of me. It was holding the heads of my mom, dad, and brother, and then it vanished completely. I grabbed my phone and called my mom, but she didn't answer. I stayed awake all night, unable to sleep, but the time seemed normal, still moving forward. When I woke up, my mom called me, and she was completely fine, just like any other day. But every day, every night, especially when I sleep, I see him. He's there, killing them in every possible way and torturing them. I've found myself trapped in a cycle I don't understand. I feel lost almost. My family was supposed to return from their vacation, but it's been 5 years, and they still haven't come back. The strange part is that my mom still talks to me every day, like nothing's wrong, but I can't shake the feeling that something is off. Why haven't they come back yet? You probably won't believe me, Alex, Or even if you do, you'll end up dreaming the same dreams I did, because everyone has their reflection. And one day, that reflection will break free. And when it does, it will destroy your life. If you have a real or strange horror story that you or someone you know has experienced, write it in the comments. I might feature it in the next video. Don't forget to like the video, and if you want more stories, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I'm looking forward to reading your story.